Let's do it. Hi. If you're paying attention, you may be looking at the world out there and saying, what's happening? I don't see a change. Looks like the same world as yesterday. In this case, you can either trust me or you can talk to the best sensors among you, because they will tell you that fundamentally everything has changed. This world has been going in one direction for a very long time, and now it's going in a new one. Now there are a lot of pieces that have inertia. They want to keep going in the same direction, but they can't. And as those pieces swing around, you'll see more and more change. Some of these things, though, will take 100 years to really see happen, and some, the overall, to the point where you wake up and don't recognize this world, is about 300 years away. So don't expect, well, I suppose you can expect if you want to, but don't expect all the arms dealers in the world to retire tomorrow. Don't expect the corrupt governments to just shut down. Well, not tomorrow. But do expect it to happen more and more. The very primitive, pre-human tendencies towards violence and destruction and dominance that are in every one of you. Every one of you have these things because it's in your biology. It's in your phylogeny. These pieces that you all have are shutting down, are changing. And this world isn't the same one it was a month ago. Everything is different. So, don't look to the newspapers or the radio stations or the internet broadcasts for the huge changes. Look to the things that more truly map people. If somebody's going to spend many hours playing a video game, that video game has to feel right to them, or they won't do it. They'll play for a minute and say this is stupid and quit. They won't know why it's stupid, but they'll quit. Look to the changes in video games. A few years ago, first-person shooters, FPS, were all the rage. Not that many years ago, when computers were first starting to become common, games like Doom, all you did is walk through hallway after hallway and kill things. And they get darker and scarier and creepier, and you killed more things. Games where you drive around and run over people and kill people. And games where you play military, assassins, and special ops. These have been all the rage. One of the biggest games, as far as the number of people who've played it, the number of hours put into it, is called World of Warcraft. Craft is in making, and war. It is a whole world about making war. Everything about it is killing others, defining enemies and fighting with them. And what you will find over the next, well, you'll see it over the next few years, but you'll see it over the next year. Right? This is January 2013. By January 2014, you'll see that the people who still play these games are mostly the addicts, the one with an addictive personality who can't help but do a thing over and over and over. that increasingly the ones who are paying attention won't enjoy these games. Now, not that long ago, it might have seemed boring to sit down and play a game whose entire purpose was to plant plants and make a garden. But Roja has shown me an astounding number of very popular Facebook games of late that have this. Build this inner castle that's your home and tame the monsters and make it a beautiful place to live. Plant a garden, collect seeds, harvest things, grow something beautiful. These kind of games are already becoming far more popular than they were, and they will continue to do so. Now, something else that maps people, the subconscious parts, is movies. People make movies to make money. They make money by people going to watch the movies or buying a copy to have at home. And so if a movie isn't something people like, they won't buy it. When they show it to a target audience, the target audience will say, well, this is stupid, I don't like it. And so what you're going to see is an increasing number of movies that would have been boring a few years ago. People will say, where are the explosions? Where are the car chases? We hate this. This is stupid. Increasingly, those kind of movies are going to be more popular. The ones that are more peaceful. They don't have the violence, the explosions, the off-duty cops tearing down buildings to get to the bad guys, and the cooks on boats killing off all the evil arms dealers. And they're going to be less common. And what you're going to see at first is more humor. Movies that are just silly. Movies you might have thought a few years ago, yeah, that's funny, but the silly ones are going to be more popular. And eventually you're going to get to ones that explore deeper issues. But for now, it's easy to forget, or easy not to know, if you're not good at this stuff, that most of the people out there are emotionally very young. Now, they look like adults. They have hairy bodies, or breasts, or bald spots on their heads, or wrinkles and gray hair. But when you learn how, if you don't know already, the Elf Path will teach you. You can look at someone and say, what's that person's emotional age? And what you'll find is most of the people out there are 5 to 8, with adults, people who are managers of businesses and CEOs and responsible people supposedly in the military who are 3. Their emotional age is that of a small child. And you'll find astoundingly few who are older than 10. It's a whole world full of children. As this world moves from the addiction and the violence and the tension and the fear to something more open, people aren't going to magically grow up. They're going to look inside and figure out who they are. Not right away. This is a process, a transition, a trend. And when they start looking inside and figuring out who they are, they're going to find that they're very young, because they are. As they discover more and more integrity and awareness, they're going to find they're young. And the things that appeal to the young are cute, are silly, are fun. And those are the things you're going to see in your video games, in your movies, in the other, let's call them indicators of the map of the global non-conscious mind. Indicators of what's in the subconscious of humans. This is what you can watch for over the next year between now and January of 2014. Watch for video games, movies, YouTube clips. Changing. Not immediately, but definitely you'll notice a trend. Moving away from the violence and the destruction, and moving towards the childish and the silly. And you might say, I don't want to be childish and silly. And with all of the awareness and affection I can muster, I can say, I don't care. Doesn't matter what you want. You get to start where you are. You don't get to start at the end of the game and play the last round. You get to start as a level 1 character and work your way up. It means all of you who are beginners will be realizing that you're younger than you have thought. And you're going to explore that young, and you're going to play with it. And as you do, it's not going to be through intensity and focus and so on. It's going to be playing. It's going to be learning and awareness and growth. And that means going through the stages. That means when you go through the child pieces, you get to act like a child and feel like a child and respond like a child. Now, if inside you're 4 years old or 8 years old, it doesn't have to take you 15 years to get to be 20 inside, for instance. Once you start exploring this and allowing it to grow up, if you're 20 or 40 or 80 on the outside, the inside pieces can grow up much more quickly. It doesn't take an entire year for your emotional age to grow up a year. But what it does take is a commitment to feeling and experiencing, truly living, not just thinking about, but truly living what's inside. And this is the path that people are going to take. Now, my words at this point are not being heard by everybody in your world. And so they're not doing this with awareness. They don't understand what they're doing, but they're going to do it nonetheless. Watch for this. Watch for a change in crime. Now, people who are drug addicts and who are mugging or stealing to get money to feed their habit aren't going to change right away. But much of crime is going to change. The crimes that are rape, violence, murder are going to start dropping off. And you're actually going to see a rise in some of the petty crimes. Throwing eggs at people's houses, putting toilet paper in the trees, the stupid childish pranks. You're going to see those because people have to go through this childish stage. You will. If you were to plot whatever country you live in, the number of murders starting, I don't know, somewhere around January of 2012 or December of 2011, and just plot that number every month, you're going to see that number making a curve like this, dropping off very quickly and then leveling. The same with most violent crime. You're going to see it dropping off very quickly. So I'm telling you two things here. First is don't give up hope that you're not seeing all the changes you expect right now. Be aware that these changes, this isn't like someone passing a law that says we'll shoot you or throw you in prison if you don't do the right things. These changes are happening deep inside. They're happening low in your guts. They're about waking up and saying, my God, I've been living a lie. I've been caught in a dream. I had no idea what's going on in the world. And as you do, as you start to wake up, you're going to find integrity. You're going to find who you are in your guts. You're going to find katon. And as you find these things are going to have to grow up in you. Because for most people, they're very young. Now some of you are a little bit older, been doing this for longer. You've already gone through some of this. For you, it's going to be a little different process. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the billions of others who are just starting out. Now, you're also going to see an astounding rise in the divorce rate. For two reasons. The one I've told you, and many of you don't believe it, and that is that over 90%, near 95% of humans now have their primary sexual focus on their own gender. This used to be a world where 5 to 10% were gay and the rest were straight. Now, close to 95% of humans are gay. Women would be happier with women and men would be happier with men. And some of you don't believe this. Some of you find this strange or awkward or don't want to accept it, don't want to allow it. Again, with all the compassion and awareness I can muster, I tell you, I don't care. I don't care. You don't get a choice here. This isn't an option. Everybody's doing it. People are going to start waking up next to their lover and saying, you don't interest me at all. And they're going to divorce, or at least start sleeping in separate bedrooms and having affairs with people of their own gender. You're actually going to see for a while an increase in violence in relationships, because people are angry and disgusted and annoyed and impatient and frustrated with their partners and they don't know why. Right? That's both the change in sexuality and the waking up of integrity. They're finding all that stuff inside. Now, I said there are two reasons. And the one is this change in sexuality, which I've been predicting for a long time and has happened. The other is simpler. People are waking up and finding their kids. And as kids, they want playmates around. They want people they can get along with, people they enjoy being with, people who are cool, people who are fun. Now, I challenge you, those of you who are married or are in a long-term relationship, to look closely at your partner and say, do I have fun with this person? Are they fun to be with? Do I get a sense of play when I wake up next to this person? And if you don't, you're going to find that increasingly you don't have patience with them. A lot of relationships, and at the risk of sounding sexist, I don't care. Again, I'm good at I don't care. At the risk of sounding sexist, a lot of men out there want to be children. They look in a relationship for a woman who will be their mother, who will fold their socks and tell them to get busy and, provide sex once in a while. They're looking for a slightly sexualized version of their mother. As women start waking up and saying, I want to play, I want to have fun, they're not going to want to play mommy to some boy. So expect a significant increase in the divorce rate. Expect a rise in violence, not necessarily physical. It can be emotional violence, shouting at one another, struggles in relationships. Expect that. It's going to happen. It's not a surprise. Human sexuality has been going in one direction for a long time, and suddenly it's going in a different direction, and almost no one understands it. They don't get it. It doesn't make sense. If you've been fascinated by women your whole life and suddenly you're looking at men, you think, I don't get this. This isn't right. If you've been fascinated by men and thought they were, really awesome to hang out with, and suddenly you're looking at women, you're going to say, whoa, this is wrong. This doesn't make sense. And pieces in you are going to fight it. But the nature of the work that is happening doesn't give you a choice. You've changed. You either adapt to that change and find happiness in the new world, or you try to hang on to the old attitudes and old ideas and you'll be miserable. Now, expect to see an increase in miracles. Someone who's dying of cancer or in a coma and they haven't moved in years, suddenly getting up and dancing and being healthy. No way that can happen. Doctors will say, I don't know, a spontaneous remission. It happens. It will look like miracles. And the reason is simple. Now, for those of you who can sense energies, go back and find pictures or movies from the 1950s or before, and watch. Some of these wonderful 1950s feel-good movies. Oh, the man with the giant rabbit who's his buddy, right? They're nice movies. They're fun to watch. But watch them and look at the energy. And it's like looking at a desert. Everything. It's not just the movie that's black and white. The energy is gray. There are no puddles of energy anywhere. There's no flowing of energy. Everything is... It's like being in a desert. And for the last few years, it has been raining increasingly. Now, I've used this water metaphor before, but that's because the way the energy flows, it's a lot like water. Watch a movie from the 50s and watch a movie now. Look at photos from the 50s or before and look at those photos now. There's a book that we have, so I know you can find it, called, I think, Then and Now. It shows pictures of a long time back and pictures of present. Now, I don't recommend it. It's deeply depressing. It's all war and violence and horror, this book. But if you can find things like it, things that show an image 50 years ago and the same image now, look at the difference. It's astounding. The energy is moving. Now, I have told you, those of you who have paid attention, that magic, and you have seen me do magic, you have tools and toys, and many of you have been rewired personally by work that I've done. You have seen me do magic. Magic is real. It's not some mysterious thing. It's just the science you haven't discovered yet. Magic, as I understand it, has two components. Only two. It has energy, it has oomph, and it has something that focuses that energy on a goal. In that sense, it's like ringing a doorbell. You want to make a doorbell ring, you've got to find enough force, and you've got to push the right spot. You can push all you want on the wall around the doorbell and no ding-dong is going to happen. Right? You got to find that doorbell and you got to push it. This is the essence of magic. Now, lots of you have will. Call it stubborn, call it focused, call it intense, whatever. Lots of you have will. But till now, there simply hasn't been enough energy. No matter how much will you had, you couldn't make these things happen because there wasn't the energy to focus. Somebody showed me a Facebook image recently that said, "What if magic is real but we're all just out of mana?" That's the size of it. There simply hasn't been that energy. That energy's there now. And so you have someone in a coma who wants to wake up, or a group of family people sitting around saying, "Wake up, wake up, wake up, come back to us." And they're all focusing that energy. And now there's energy that they can focus. And as they do, bam, people are going to just sit up. Where have I been? What's going on? Why am I in the hospital? Right? You're going to find things like this happening. Magic. Now, understand that not all magic is shiny. If you've ever watched a movie about a wicked witch, or, if you studied some of the darker paths out there, they talk about curses. If you focus on someone and say, "I hate you," or "I want you to die," and you hold that energy with focus, you'll make that person sick. As there is more energy out there, you're going to find more of the shadow happening as well. And so if you get someone who says, "I hate myself, my life sucks, everything's awful, rah, rah, rah," and they take all that bitterness and frustration and point it at themselves, they're going to start getting sick. Now, this isn't a surprise to you. You can read lots of books, medical texts, chemicals, Candace Pert's Molecular Motion at the molecular level, up to psychological texts that will tell you about psychosomatic diseases. A woman who wants to be pregnant enough can actually start showing all the signs of being pregnant, even though she's not. She convinces her body to change. Someone who refuses to love and whose heart is shut down, the arteries will start to harden. The hardening of the arteries, and they'll have a heart attack. People with a high stress level will get strokes. People with a lot of bitterness and inner violence, their kidneys will shut down, their liver will fail. You know this now. You can watch it happening. Any medical text will tell you, well, most will tell you, that doing something for long enough will eventually affect the body. Because there's more energy available, expect those responses to start happening faster. Now, back in the 50s, more men die of heart disease than women. So back in the 50s, men in their later years, 50s, 60s, 70s, would die of heart disease. Increasingly, in the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, we've been seeing young men dying of heart disease. We've been seeing young women dying of heart disease. It wouldn't have happened in the past. It would have taken decades to build up enough energy to actually destroy your own heart. As there's more energy available, it'll happen quicker. You're going to start seeing children, 10, 12, 15, dying of heart disease. And the increase in energy makes magic possible, and magic is will-focusing energy. And if that will is bitter and frustrated and angry, it's going to start having an effect much more quickly. And so you're going to see wonderful things, miracles, people waking up from comas, impossible diseases being cured. You're also going to see some diseases happening at younger and younger ages. And you might say that's terrible, and I appreciate that idea. It does seem terrible, a 12-year-old dying of heart disease. It is the nature of evolving, of development, that a species must change. Imagine creatures that live in water, and the water starts to dry up, and so they're beginning to kind of explore being on land. Those whose lungs are too weak to handle it will die. And the ones who can handle it will have little baby creatures, and those creatures' lungs will be better. So it's on the surface sad to see these things happening to children. But what's going to come of it is an increasing awareness that those who are bitter, angry, frustrated, self-hating are in trouble. And so instead of just taking and putting your kids on drugs because they're unhappy, people are going to have to start looking and saying, all right, this kid's in trouble. This kid's going to have heart disease in 5 years if we don't address the problem. And they're going to start addressing the problem. And the result is very quickly, your society is going to evolve. Younger and younger ages, you're going to become aware of what it is to love yourself or to despise yourself. And you're going to start moving from those shadows more and more into a light side approach. Well, not to sound unkind to you folks, but people are lazy. It is a fundamental character of people that they're lazy. And they don't like to change. If there were no push, people wouldn't change. But see, parents feel usually intensely protective of their children. And if they see their children dying, it's going to motivate them to act in a way that nothing else will. And they can't teach their children about integrity and liking who they are and so on if they don't have those things. And so what might seem sad or disturbing, these health problems hitting the very young, is actually a big advantage to your species. Because these things hitting a few people will motivate the rest of them to change in a way that us talking for 100 years wouldn't. Some of the strongest instincts in people the instinct towards reproduction, the sex drive, are changing, as I've told you. And this is going to motivate people to change in a very deep and fundamental and rapid way. The instinct to protect your children is so strong that when something starts threatening your children, it will drive you to change. And you and your children will come out far more healthy and alive and aware than you've ever been. Without these strong and intense drives, this could be a very slow adaptation. But see, what you need to understand, what's easy to overlook, is that humans are very passionate creatures. If you were to go out right now in most places in the world and plot to kill somebody and kill them, they would catch you and throw you in prison or execute you. If, however, your spouse or lover is cheating on you, and in a fit of passion you kill them, it's called a crime of passion. Diminished capacity. It's not really your fault, because you were so passionately involved in the moment, you were temporarily insane. And you'll get a much lighter sentence. Your societies know this. People are intensely passionate creatures. Somebody gets drunk and beats someone up. Yeah, they'll probably have to go to counseling or spend some time in jail. But people will understand it a bit because, well, they were drunk and the passion comes out, the anger. If you just went around beating people up, people wouldn't accept that. Societies wouldn't accept that. But when you're drunk, when you're tired, when you're infatuated with someone, these passions come out. And you, as a species, act far more passionate. And everyone recognizes it. Your friend calls you names, your lover throws something at your head. These acts of violence, which might seem unforgivable if done from a rational place, you're quite happy to forgive because it comes from passion. You recognize that you're passionate people, and that passion is a huge advantage in the change that's happening. The passionate, intense way parents care for the children will drive the parents to change. The passionate way people feel about their lovers will drive relationships to change. The passionate way people feel about their jobs, about sports, about video games they play, about movies, are going to force these things to change much more quickly, much more expediently. The passion is actually, though it's nearly destroyed your world and created horrific wars and all kinds of awful things, the passion is one of the most beautiful things about the human race. They're intensely passionate and astoundingly creative and driven and focused. These things are going to make a huge difference as they begin to come into line with the new energies, with the changes that are happening in the world. So these are the things to watch for. Changes in sexuality, changes in relationships, miracles, people dying younger, intense passion coming up, people being increasingly childish. These are the things to watch for. Not space aliens coming down and ending war on your planet. Not yet. That will happen. Not yet. Your species needs to evolve a little more on its own. So, these are things to watch for to help you understand and believe what's going on. And this is a reminder, don't be too fussy or judgmental. Watch with patience and awareness. This is a change which has been going on for potentially hundreds of thousands of years, depending on how you measure it. And that it's all focusing down to the place where it's spinning. This huge change in less than 100 years is astoundingly rapid. A lot of people are going, well, not a lot, many people are going to end up going crazy. The change is just too fast. And so it might seem, well, gosh, it's been a month. Where are the changes? I'm telling you, if it went any faster, your people would just fall apart. It's going as fast as people can handle, and faster than some can handle. So be gentle with yourselves and with the process. Right? Now, recognizing those things and setting them aside, you might ask, what can I do? There are two things that the children out there, whatever age body they wear, there are two things that they need. And you can develop either one of these. One is parents and teachers. Children without any parents get into a lot of trouble. Children living alone without adults to guide them, they do really stupid things and they get hurt. So some of you are going to take the path of maturity. You're going to say, how do I become more and more of an adult? How do I become more strong and more intense and more powerful so that people will listen, so that I can guide them? And this is needed, and this is an awesome thing. But this is only one of the two choices. The other thing that children need is playmates. Most of them don't know how to play. You might think everyone knows how to play, but I'm sure that all of you, either in your own lives or in people you've seen, have run across folks who don't understand play. Right? Folks who from childhood were very intense and never really got this whole play thing and just don't understand. Roha got a kitten that had a very violent background. It was abandoned by his mother and watched its siblings die. And she adopted this kitten, and the kitten didn't know how to play. She was totally baffled by the idea. And folks here have had to teach her how to play. And she's learning, and it's really fun to watch her playing and experiencing without being scared or angry or violent. A lot of the people in your world don't know how to play. So this is the other piece, the other path you can take. If you don't want to become adult and intense and something that people step back and go, whoa, scary, when you walk in the room. If you don't want to become this big, strong adult type that the others respond to as they would, a parent. If you ever looked at a Charlie Brown cartoon, it's fascinating because it's focused on the children. And when they show the parents, they only ever show them from about the thighs down. You never see more than their legs. The whole world is aimed at the kids. This is where many of the people are. The parents, they're way up there. Here's our world here. Some of you are going to take that path and become those parents. The others don't look at you as playmates anymore. They go, oh, you're up there. And in this way, excuse me, they'll be able to respect you and listen to you. Right? The other choice is playmate. For those of you who don't want to become so intense, what you can do is learn how to play. And you might say, I know how to play. I play racquetball. I'm very competitive. Right? I play video games. I kick everybody's ass. This isn't play. What I want you to do with these others, those of you who want to understand play, what I want you to do is to play make-believe. Right? By yourself or with someone you trust, make up a game. Right? Today we're explorers on another planet. Let's find what wonderful secrets are out here. Right? Ooh, the floor is lava. What do we do? How do we handle it? Right? I'm Indiana Jones exploring the Temple of Doom. Play cops and robbers. Play doctor. Play anything you want. But do it with that childish sense of play, with imagination. Alright, I'm going to pretend. And as you do, have fun. You can be as intense and as passionate as you want. But do it without fear or anger. Just pretend. Make believe. Know that at any point, you could stop. And be back to where you are. If you're fighting scary monsters and you start to get overwhelmed or scared or angry, just stop. Go have a cookie. Eat a popsicle. Drink some Kool-Aid or juice or something. Right? And when you're ready, go back and play some more. But see, this is a skill. Children spend years learning how to play. They play pretend, they play make-believe, they make up games, and they live them over and over and over. What you need to understand is you will not, in a moment, be good at play. You need to make up a game and play pretend, alone or with a couple people you really trust, with your teddy bears, with your pets. Play pretend. And you'll feel really stupid. And you'll feel like you're not very good at it. You know why? Because you're not very good at it. You're not good at anything the first time. But you do it again, and you do it again. And every day, spend a little time playing. A little time with imagination. A little time with creativity and being deep inside and exploring all the wonderful things you come up with. Over and over, day after day. And a year from now, if you do this every day, you'll have potentially hundreds of hours of experience playing, and you'll be good at it. And you can take that attitude into your work, into places with your relatives, your cohorts, I suppose friends. I use that word cautiously because you're going to find that word changes dramatically in the next 10 years, next, well, 7 years, what it is to be a friend. In my own experience, I don't call someone friend unless I know they're willing to die to protect me. And I have friends who are that good a friend. Jump in front of a speeding car to save me. You're going to find that word changes, so I use it cautiously. And when you look at me, and the way that I talk, and the way that I speak, and the way that I interact, and the intensity with which I do things, or you look at Roja as she teaches a lot of you guys, understand that she and I both have taken the more adult path. Don't look to me or to her as an example of how to be lighthearted and how to play. And I've offered you two paths here. One is the parent, the sort of Charlie Brown parent. When people look at you, they only see you up to here. You are way up there for them. Right? That's only one of the paths. The other path is to really embrace childhood and explore it and play and have fun. It doesn't mean you have to be weak or helpless or surrender. You can be the big kid. Most of you, well, those of you who played as a kid, remember, if you didn't play alone, there was always one kid who said, this is what we're going to do today. Today we're going to pretend this. Today we're going to play this. Everybody said, okay, cool, let's do it. You can be that kid. You can be the older kid, the stronger kid. I don't mean physically strong, I mean strong-willed. The one who's, this is the game. And when somebody says, I hate you, you're stupid, you can say, nope, we're not going to play that game. We're going to play this way. Okay. You don't have to be small and weak, but you do have to deeply and richly explore what it is to be a child, what it is to have imagination, what it is to play. Now understand that I started this evening by telling you huge changes in the world, relationships ending, lovers and spouses fighting and separating, children getting sick and dying, businesses falling apart, movies that were successful suddenly being flops, and all of these, big dramatic changes. And you say, well, I want to be part of that, but I don't know how. What I'm telling you may seem counterintuitive. It may not seem logical to you. Big, huge changes in the world. I'm not telling you go out and make big, huge changes. I'm telling you to make small inner changes. And that doesn't make sense, but it does. It really does. You can't help them if you're not deeply and richly you. And so, though I'm talking about huge changes in the world, when you ask me, well, what do I do? How do I be part of this? I'm telling you small and simple changes. Either, if you take the adult route, focus on integrity, on power, that is making your own decisions and letting no one tell you what to do. That is figuring out who you are, finding all the things that scare you and letting those energies go, finding all the things you enjoy and celebrating them, exploring with joy, with emotion, and with passion before you ever get to expressing. And if you go the childhood route, you want to be one of the playmates, the world needs those. Do it, but start with joy and go through emotions like fun and excitement and curiosity and exploration, to passion, and then to expression. And if any of you think children aren't passionate, you haven't spent enough time with children. I have told you before that there is a famous scientist who, when asked about his success, said, I try to regain in my work the intensity I had as a child when I was playing. Children have intensity and passion and focus that adults have forgotten. They have excitement and enthusiasm that adults have forgotten. If you want to be part of this change in the world, you need to rediscover emotion and passion. And you need to do those things from joy. What comes up from the joy center into the emotions. Right? Everything feeding up from joy is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to cause you to expand and explore. Everything coming from fear, the shadow of the joy centers, is going to cause you to shut down and be afraid and be timid and turn away and retreat. Right? Start with joy. Build all those healthy emotions, and from those emotions start focusing with passion and intensity. This is an awesome game. I love this. I want to do this. I love this sport. I love this car. I love this person. But you do it with this passion, and then express. Right, so this is what I want you to understand. Huge, astounding, remarkable, inconceivable for most of you changes happening in your world. If you want to be part of those changes, part of what's happening in the world, and eventually part of guiding those changes and what your world will become, you don't do it by standing up and making grandiose speeches. You do it, at least at the start, with these small inner changes, whether you go parent or playmate. You start down here. Really, you start with the physical. You've got to be healthy. Eat well, get a little exercise. But, not boring exercise. Go out and play. Jump up and down, run up the stairs, right? Just the physical stuff. Eat well and get your body moving and get enough sleep. And when that physical is there, the energy will start to move and it'll come up into the joy center. And you'll notice it either as joy, ooh, there's something exciting, that's something cool, or fear, ew, I don't like that, that's disgusting. Right? That physical energies that moves up through the joy center will become either joy or fear. And the joy will lead to curiosity and enthusiasm and exploration and reaching outward and opening, always opening to more and more. And the fear will lead to anxiety and trauma and concern and panic and disgust and despite and bitterness and more shutting down and rejecting and pushing away. You're going to find one or the other. What I'm telling you, bring that energy up and keep choosing the healthy side. Keep choosing all the emotions that come from joy. And with those emotions, pick one of these two. Either the parent, who's going to be a bit, intense and distant from the kids because you're the ones that are going to look to for guidance, or the playmate. And these are both sacred and powerful roles. Some people might say, oh, well, you know, you're just playful, you're not serious, nobody cares about you. This playful is what the world needs. People who can just get into a thing and joyfully celebrate. Teach a cat to fetch. Right? People who just have so much fun and play that everyone around them is changed by it. And some of you have seen this in your playmates here. Teddy Bear, when she talks about fish, has this childish sense of play. Cassidy, she spent a year here with us, was astounding at play. Yeah, she could get grumpy and serious and frightened. We all can. But when she was in power, she was just playful and everything was a game. And she's the one who taught the cat to fetch. Right? That sense of play comes up through everything. And this is what I want you to explore. Right? Whether you go parent or playmate, explore it with integrity and celebrate it. Basic physical healthy is good. That will come up to joy, the joy to the emotions, and the emotions, when they're bubbling and moving and wah, are going to increasingly come up here and focus as passion, as intensity. This is such a cool game, let's do it again. I'm so excited about this. This is what I'm talking about. Not sexual passion, any asshole can do that. Anybody can get turned on and express it. No, I'm talking about so much emotion in your guts that you just can't help but express it in some awesome, excited way. And so if the word passion scares you, replace it with excitement. And when you have all these emotions, and you have the excitement and passion, express them. Right? I'm coming up through the energy centers here. Express them to one another. Express them when you look at yourself in the mirror. Express them when you first wake up in the morning and do sweet. Not, oh, this exercise. Oh, a new day to find new things. Let me take that exciting, yay energy and just let it expand outward. And when you do your meta minutes, let that excitement come up from all those wonderful emotions coming up from the joy. Let it be part of your meta minutes when you sit and listen, when you teach, when you talk, when you walk down the street, when you watch people. Let these things be part of your life all the time. And in this way, whether you go parent or playmate, in this way you'll find that in a short time, weeks, months at the most, you're going to be a different person that you're going to express with integrity and passion or excitement, with focus, with intensity. And people are going to look at you and say, wow, I want what you've got. And in this way, people are going to start looking to you and listening to you and paying attention. And in this way, you're going to find yourself changing the world. There are public speakers who teach motivational things. And they don't get up in front of people and say, all right, today we're going to talk about this. They get up on stage and go, are you ready? Are you excited? And that kind of behavior, you don't have to get up on stage. Right? You do this with your friends, with your lovers, with your playmates. But with that kind of excitement, people are going to look to you and go, oh, yay! Because they're, most of them, working from fear and they're shutting down. When you give them all this big shiny stuff, they're going to be like sunflowers turning to face the sun. You just open up and say, yes, 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 give me more. And in this way, in a very short time, you're going to become someone who changes the world, who defines where the world's going for the next several hundred years at least. Not by worrying about the big picture. You don't understand the big picture. Not by worrying about the details, not by tracking the changes in the world, but by finding in yourself joy, emotion, integrity, focus, will, passion, and expression. And it doesn't have to be serious. Serious is almost always a handicap. Right? Serious is a synonym for insecurity. Approximately, but accurately. I'm serious. means I'm terrified to express my real emotions. Don't be serious. Be excited. Be passionate. Be emotional. Be alive. And just make sure that those emotions and that excitement you're channeling come up on the joy side, not on the fear side. And in a very short time, you'll find you're changing the world in ways you had never imagined. This is the path to walk. That said, let me finish with a couple of ideas. Be kind to yourself. It's easy to be harsh and judgmental. Be kind to yourself first. Have fun. Right? So much easier when you're enjoying it. Be kind, have fun, and play well with one another. Good night.